Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Before a woman ever says the words, I love you, there's a moment that quietly changes everything, and most men miss it. Your chest tightens because something feels close, intimate, almost dangerous, and you cannot name it. If you have ever felt that unease, stay with me. Before we go any deeper, I want you to subscribe to this channel and like this video because what I'm about to share protects you from emotional blindness that costs men years of their lives. I am speaking to you as a psychologist and as a woman, and I need you to hear this without ego. A woman does not show love first with affection. She shows it with attention that costs her something. She begins to reorganize her inner world around you. Her time, her emotional energy, her mental focus start bending in your direction. This is not flirting. This is investment. She remembers small things you never thought mattered. The way you hesitate before answering certain questions, the mood shift, you try to hide behind humor. She notices patterns before you notice them yourself. When a woman loves you but has not admitted it yet, she studies you quietly to understand how to protect what she is beginning to feel. You will notice her emotional reactions become precise. She does not overreact, but she reacts deeply. Your disappointment affects her more than she admits. Your approval suddenly matters, even when she pretends it does not. This is bonding. Here is the part most men misunderstand. She may pull back right after showing closeness. That distance is not loss of interest, it is self regulation. She is checking herself because once she admits love, she cannot unknow it. Women are taught that loving too early can cost them safety or self respect. So before she admits love, she tests emotional consistency. Are you stable when she is vulnerable? Are you predictable when she opens a door? She watches how you respond to silence, stress, and subtle bids for connection because she is cautious with her heart. If you recognize these signs and remain grounded, present, and emotionally clean, you become a place she can land. And when a woman finally admits love, it will feel sudden to you, but for her, it has been building quietly for a long time inside her guarded soul. When a woman is loving you before she admits it, her behavior begins to soften in ways that are easy to misread if you are not emotionally trained. She becomes less performative and more real. The mask she wears for the world loosens around you. This is not accidental. This is trust forming beneath the surface. You may notice she stops trying to impress you and starts trying to understand you. She asks questions that go beyond what you do and drift into who you are when no one is watching. She listens not just to your words, but to the pauses between them. Silence becomes meaningful. This is emotional intimacy in its earliest, most fragile form. Here is something most men are never taught. A woman in love, before she admits it, will sometimes challenge you more, not less. She pushes gently against your boundaries to see if you have any, not to control you, but to feel safe. A man without boundaries feels unpredictable. A man who can stay calm, assertive, and respectful under pressure becomes emotionally magnetic. You may also feel her energy change when other women are present. She does not always show jealousy openly. Instead, she becomes quieter, more observant. This is not insecurity. This is assessment. She is watching how you carry yourself when options exist. Are you respectful? Are you grounded? Do you seek validation or remain centered? Another subtle sign appears in moments of vulnerability. She shares something small but personal, then watches closely how you respond. Do you minimize it? Do you joke it away? Or do you hold it with care? Each response writes a story in her nervous system about whether you are emotionally safe. Before love is admitted, a woman often creates emotional rituals with you. A specific time you talk, a familiar way you say goodbye, an inside reference no one else understands. These rituals anchor attachment. They are quiet agreements that say, you matter to me. Even if the words are not spoken yet, this is where many men sabotage connection. They rush clarity. They demand labels. They push for verbal confirmation because uncertainty makes them anxious. But love does not grow under pressure. It grows under presence. When you remain steady without forcing definition, you communicate confidence and emotional strength. If you can tolerate not knowing for a little while, if you can stay open without chasing reassurance, She feels free enough to fall fully. And when she does, it will not be hesitant or partial. It will be deep, deliberate, and undeniable. One of the most misunderstood signs of love before it is admitted is protection. A woman will quietly protect you, often in ways you barely notice. She notices when you are stressed or emotionally fragile, and she steps in subtly without drawing attention. This is her way of saying, I care more than I am willing to admit. She may speak up for you when you are not present. She may defend you in small social situations or quietly correct misconceptions about you. Men often mistake this for friendliness, but it is far more intimate. Protection is a language of love that predates confession. Another way she shows love is through alignment. Her routines, her schedule, her priorities start bending around you, sometimes unconsciously. She remembers your favorite coffee, your quirks, your moods. She anticipates needs you have not expressed. This is her internal wiring adjusting because you are becoming significant. Watch her tone when you speak about dreams or fears. If she leans in, listens without judgment, and remembers details later, it is not casual interest. It is emotional bookkeeping. Every memory, every attentive gesture builds a subconscious ledger of connection. And trust me, she keeps it carefully. Physical proximity becomes deliberate. She may not yet hold your hand, but she finds ways to brush close. She chooses seats near you. She creates space for shared experience. These micro actions are her way of mapping emotional territory before she risks vulnerability outright. Then there are the contradictions that confuse men. She may pull away right after getting close. She may act distant to gauge your response. This is not manipulation, it is self preservation. A woman's love is cautious. She has been taught that admitting feelings too soon can backfire. This push and pull is her subconscious measuring stick. Will you stay if I reveal myself? You will notice. Subtle mirroring, too. Her gestures, expressions, even speech patterns may begin to echo yours. It is not mimicry. It is connection forming below awareness. She is attuning to you because her brain has already started to register you as important, safe, desirable. Here is the hard truth most men never hear. If you fail to recognize these signs, she may withdraw and protect herself completely. But if you see, understand, and respond with emotional steadiness, patience, and respect, she will eventually take the leap. And when she admits love, it will be a quiet certainty built on months of careful observation, investment, and unseen emotional labor on her part. Before a woman admits love, she often communicates through what she does not say. Silence becomes a language. If you notice her listening intensely, holding eye contact longer than usual, or responding with subtle nods instead of words, understand this. She is speaking without speaking. These moments are her truth, hiding behind caution. You may notice small sacrifices. She rearranges plans to include you without making it obvious. She prioritizes your comfort subtly. Maybe she walks a little slower to match your pace or remembers an obscure preference you once mentioned in passing. Men often dismiss these as coincidences, but they are carefully crafted expressions of care. Watch her energy around challenges in your life. If she worries silently when you're struggling, offers help quietly without announcing it, or stays present while others withdraw, she is signaling attachment. Men often confuse this with friendship, but friendship does not involve this level of emotional vigilance. Her humor changes too. She teases you gently, not to embarrass, but to test comfort, connection, and boundaries. A woman in love, before admitting it, uses humor as a tool to read emotional depth and to invite closeness without risking vulnerability outright. These micro interactions are subtle mirrors of your psyche. Another sign is her curiosity about your inner life. She asks about your thoughts, your fears, your reactions. She wants to see the architecture of your mind. This is not casual interest, it is intimacy preparation. She is mapping your inner world before offering hers. Sometimes she tests your consistency. She observes how you handle stress, disappointment, or conflict. Your reactions are data points in her decision to invest further emotionally. If you remain steady, present, and emotionally responsible, she begins to relax, knowing her heart is safer than she allowed herself to believe. You may also notice her attachment to rituals, the way she texts, the little patterns she initiates. shared jokes, or private signals. These are invisible threads she is weaving between your worlds, reinforcing connection long before love is spoken. The critical lesson here is patience. A woman's love is not impulsive, it is deliberate. She cannot risk her heart without safety. Recognizing these subtle signs and responding with quiet emotional security allows her to take that final conscious step toward admission. When it comes, it will feel sudden, but it is the culmination of careful, deliberate emotional labor, an internal process she has nurtured long before you even realize it. A woman begins to reveal her love not in grand gestures but in consistency. She shows up in ways that are almost invisible to the casual observer. The calls she makes, the messages she sends, the way she remembers details, these are her signals. Men often dismiss them, but these small repeated actions are the scaffolding of affection before she speaks the words, I love you. Notice how she reacts when you share vulnerabilities. She doesn't judge, she doesn't fix immediately. Instead, she listens, absorbs, and responds with care. This is her way of saying without speaking that your inner world matters to her. She is testing whether she can trust you with her own emotional landscape. Her priorities start to shift. She may adjust her schedule subtly, find ways to include you in her life, or carve out time to be present when you need it most. These sacrifices are rarely announced. They are quiet commitments. Love before confession is not performative. It is internal, intentional, and patient. You might notice protective behavior that goes beyond physical safety. She shields you from judgment, covers for you in social settings, or offers discreet advice to help you navigate challenges. These are signs of emotional investment. A woman who loves you, even quietly, wants to support and stabilize your world before risking her heart entirely. Her attention to your emotional state becomes precise. She notices the smallest shifts in mood, tone, and energy. A slight hesitation, a fleeting glance, a quiet sigh. She registers them all. This is empathy in its most intense form. Her mind is actively attuned to yours because her subconscious is already choosing you. You may see subtle acts of mirroring. Her gestures, expressions, and even speech patterns begin to reflect yours. This is unconscious attunement. It signals comfort, alignment, and growing attachment. She is shaping herself around you carefully and subtly without overt declaration. Sometimes she will test your responses to see if you are emotionally reliable. A small joke, a minor challenge, or a vulnerable disclosure is a probe to measure patience, empathy, and emotional maturity. How you respond writes a permanent record in her mind about your suitability as a partner. The most important thing to remember is that this stage is delicate. Any sign of impulsivity, insecurity, or pressure can push her back into guardedness. But when you remain grounded, present, and emotionally steady, you become the safe space she has been searching for. And when she finally admits her love, it will be complete, unwavering, and life changing. Before a woman admits love, her actions often speak louder than her words ever could. She becomes a quiet force in your life, moving behind the scenes in ways that most men completely overlook. She will go out of her way to make your world smoother, easier, or more joyful without needing recognition. This is love in its rawest, most disciplined form. Unspoken, deliberate, and cautious, you'll notice subtle ways she prioritizes you emotionally. She remembers the little things that matter, your routines, your frustrations, your favorite songs. She holds your preferences in her mind like sacred information. Men often mistake this for casual attentiveness, but it's emotional investment being built brick by brick. She also begins to anticipate your needs before you even voice them. Maybe she texts to check in without prompting. Maybe she brings you something she knows will comfort you after a rough day. Every act, small or large, is a sign of her mind gravitating toward yours. She is creating a world in which you exist centrally. You'll observe shifts in her vulnerability. She tests you carefully, sharing minor insecurities, teasing, or revealing subtle truths. These moments are invitations to see her as she is without pretense. How you respond will determine whether she continues to expose the parts of herself she guards most fiercely. Her energy subtly aligns with yours. Timing, gestures, even rhythm of speech may begin to sync with yours. This is not random. It's the way her subconscious signals attachment and comfort, building intimacy invisibly. Men who notice this see beyond the surface. Men who don't will remain oblivious until love is finally declared. She will watch your consistency with a keen eye. How you respond to stress, conflict, and quiet moments of uncertainty becomes data in her internal ledger. A man who remains steady, patient, and emotionally intelligent becomes a safe harbor. Safety, not attraction alone, is what allows her to admit love. Sometimes she pulls back briefly after closeness. It may feel like rejection or disinterest, but it's not. She is checking if her heart is safe, if your interest is genuine, if your presence is reliable. These pauses are protective, not punitive. The lesson here is subtle but powerful. The path to her love is through quiet observation, emotional presence, and unwavering steadiness. Recognize the signals, honor them with care, and you position yourself to receive a love that is intentional, measured, and profoundly real. She will not rush it, and neither should you. Before she admits love, a woman begins creating emotional anchors in your shared world. These are small, almost invisible rituals, inside jokes, shared routines, subtle habits that exist only between you. She does this to stabilize attachment, to map the emotional territory before risking vulnerability. Men rarely notice these cues, yet they are some of the clearest signs she is falling quietly, carefully for you. You'll see it in the way she listens. Not the polite listening most people do, but active, detailed, engaged listening. She remembers what you said weeks ago, recalls how you reacted, and integrates it into future conversations. Every remembered detail tells her nervous system that you matter, and she hopes it tells yours the same. Physical cues emerge too. Often subtle, she may brush past your arm, lean in slightly when you speak, or unconsciously mirror your posture. These micro expressions are her body saying what her lips cannot. They are silent confessions repeated over time, each one reinforcing attachment before she feels ready to verbalize of love. You may notice her protectiveness in unexpected ways. She quietly supports you, stands up for you, or smooths over situations without drawing attention. This is emotional labor, and it is not done lightly. Only someone who is emotionally invested will expend energy caring for you in ways that aren't acknowledged or rewarded. Her emotional tests are also a key signal. She may probe gently, asking how you handle stress, conflict, or disappointment, not to trap you, but to measure your emotional reliability. Each response builds her internal map of your stability, trustworthiness, and suitability as a partner. Another subtle sign is her curiosity about your inner life. She asks questions that reveal genuine interest, not idle conversation. She wants to understand your fears, your ambitions, your private thoughts. This is her way of connecting at a level she will not verbalize until she feels secure. The hardest part for men to grasp is that she may retreat at times. These moments are not rejection, they are self P protection. A woman's love before admission is cautious, calculated, and measured. She is evaluating if her heart is safe with you, and she is watching whether you can remain consistent when the stakes are emotional. If you recognize these patterns and respond with patience, emotional intelligence, and grounded presence, you become a safe container for her feelings. This is the space in which she can finally admit love. And when she does, it is complete. It is not hesitant, not fleeting. It is deliberate, deep, and irrevocable. The final unmistakable stage before a woman admits love is a shift in her emotional availability. She begins to include you in her inner world in ways she never allowed before. Your opinions, feelings, and presence start shaping her mood, her decisions, and her sense of safety. This is not casual attachment. It is a quiet declaration of significance long before words are spoken. You will notice a change in her communication. She reaches out more often, not to demand attention, but to share her reality with you. Her texts, calls, or casual messages carry emotional weight. She wants you to witness her life, her challenges, and her triumphs. By letting you in, she is saying, "You matter more than I can yet admit." Her consistency becomes a subtle promise. She shows up emotionally. Even when it is inconvenient, she follows through on commitments small and large, reinforcing trust. This is the backbone of love before it is acknowledged. the steady, invisible investment that most men fail to see because they are looking for dramatic gestures instead of quiet devotion. You may also notice her protective instincts intensify. She quietly guards your emotional and social space. She steps in for you, speaks up for you, and defends you without needing recognition. This behavior, often overlooked, is one of the strongest proverbial signs of her love. She invests in your world because you have begun to occupy space in her heart. Subtle vulnerability marks this stage. She reveals more of herself in tiny doses, testing your responses. How you hold her disclosures without judgment, without rushing, without manipulation, determines if she will take the leap. Emotional safety is her currency, and your ability to provide it makes her ready to confess love. You might see rituals solidifying, special gestures, inside jokes, and shared routines become increasingly frequent. These acts create a sense of belonging, a private emotional ecosystem where intimacy can grow. Every repetition reinforces attachment and signals readiness to commit emotionally. Here is the truth most men never hear. When a woman finally admits love, it feels sudden, but it is the result of months, sometimes years of careful emotional observation and investment. She will not speak lightly. She will not risk her heart recklessly. The love she offers is deliberate, profound, and enduring. If you have watched closely, responded with patience, steadiness, and care, you are now standing at the threshold. Your presence, your emotional reliability, and your ability to recognize the quiet signs have allowed her to trust you fully. And when she finally whispers, says, or demonstrates her love outright, it will be complete, irrevocable, and life altering. This is the power of love before admission. And this is how she chooses you, long before you even realize.